everyone, welcome to GodSpark Nation. We have a fun topic here tonight. So make sure you have a pen and paper. Actually, never mind. You know what? If you want a pen and paper, it's great because we're going to ask the burning question. However, I decided I'm going to make a little workbook page for you, okay? Because this is super duper important training and we want to be able to use these principles and apply them to your life for what's going on, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do today is called Leading with the Heart in a New Quantum Paradigm. And this phase is to prepare you for leadership with your humanitarian projects. And later this week, you're going to learn some juicy details about what's up with QHS when it comes to the humanitarian projects. So tonight is going to be the first in a series, and it's going to go on for several weeks, probably a lot of weeks. There's a lot to learn here. And apply and practice applying them right now so that you can anchor these into your heart and allow them to be a healthy habit, because it's really truly all about helping you improve your relationships and step into your heart space and to serve others. Another purpose is so that we can become aware, self-aware of how your actions and words affect others. Now, this is loosely based on NLP, and that is neuro-linguistic programming. Now, I don't care for that term really, because I feel like the programming happened years ago. So we're basically reprogramming our subconscious mind to support us in wherever it is that we truly want to go. And Tony Robbins is actually the legend who made NLP very, very famous. And when Cynthia told me that her favorite leadership training was with him, she said it was the best she ever had. I figured that that alone would mean that we could all benefit from this deep dive. And even my husband, he went to a Tony's weekend workshop years and years ago where he actually walked on coals, and Cynthia did too. That's something I wasn't ready to do, still not, but that's okay. We are going to introduce some of Tony's most popular techniques during the series, but please do not try walking on coals at home, okay? Word of warning, you're not going to be doing that. So I know that many of you are planning a humanitarian project as we step into this golden age that we are creating, and we are creating this with love. So tonight I'm going to cover 10 guiding principles to help understand human behavior from a quantum perspective. And these principles will help you improve your relationships, communicate more effectively, and fast track your leadership skills. Because there's so much, I will create a workshop after each week's class so that you can create like a little binder and start really applying these every single day to the people around you in your life. Now, I found a very good quote that I absolutely love. Okay. It's from Maya Angelou, or is that how you say it? I don't even know. Maya Angelou. It is, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Okay, I just chill. So that was a good one. So NLP has something they call presuppositions. I don't care for that word again. I would call them more like belief systems, and you can choose to adopt these or not, or even like principles that you can live your life by. But these are a framework that you can customize and make your own, make them as a heart-centered, compassionate piece of your leadership book skills, if you will. There are a lot of them. So tonight I'm only going to run through half that I found. There's so many different versions. And so I basically grabbed a group of them, and we're going to go slow so we can really dive deep and use quantum examples. Okay. So if you have your pen and paper, number one, the map is not the territory. You're like, what does that mean, Tracy? Well, it's basically because the way this works is you respond to your individual map of reality, not the actual reality itself. So it's like your map is a small piece of the whole global picture. And it's based on, you made your map based on all your past experiences. And so I always like to think of an old-fashioned flat map, you know, that we used to keep in our glove box. And does that map tell the whole story? No. But you know these places that you have been to, so you know more of the story. You know if there's mountains or there's stores or there's traffic or, you know the experience. But what if you shifted this into a quantum perspective and your perception shaped that you were limitless so you could see the full potential instead of basing it on your experience. So let me give you an example, because this is like the hardest one. That's why I went with this one first. If you went skiing and broke your leg, you will view skiing as painful. However, if you grew up on the slopes and you're really great at it, you will view it with pleasure. So most things that we do are to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. So based on your past experience, that's your map when it goes into a project. But Keith says, know who you really are. And then you know that you're limitless. And so you can shift that inner map and see the potential through a different lens with infinite possibilities. And everybody's map is unique. So when we want to look at others from a place of compassion and love, we want to acknowledge that their choices in life are because their map is different than yours. And so we need to respect that. So at the end of each principle, I'm going to have a leading with your heart, okay? So if you are leading with your heart, just acknowledge that everyone's map looks different. Don't judge them for these differences, but be willing to expand yours and know that you are only, the limits that you set for yourself are done by you. All right, so they're not real. You have unlimited potential. All right, number 2, everyone's paradigm or their map of the world is right in their eyes because it's based on what they know. And so I like to equate this to, if you are wearing green glasses and your best friend is wearing red glasses, and your friend says, well, what color is the sky? You're going to say, oh, it's green. And your friend's going to be like, no, it's not, it's red. And you go back and forth. All right. But they will never see the sky like you do, and you will never see the sky like they do. So we need to know that it's basically based on their experience, their perspective. All right. So if you have a different perspective than your friend, no matter what they say, you won't be able to see it, but you want to acknowledge it so they feel heard and understand where they're coming from. So in the old days, we used to be able to have an adult conversation and learn from each other and have an open mind so we can see how people see things. So leading with your heart, a good response to a friend that doesn't see things the way you do might be, can you help me understand, why you feel this way or why you did that? Or asking why will give you a new insight. So when I used to have my old podcast, I remember this guest come on, and before I interviewed him, he goes, I just want to make sure that we're aligned. And I'm like, why? How am I supposed to ever learn anything new if I only talk to people who think like I do? And so we had a great conversation, but it's just because we want to have an open mind and realize that we don't already know everything. Okay, number 3, the mind and body are one system. So the mind can influence the body and the body can influence the mind. It's like this loop, okay? Everything's interconnected. And the GodSpark is in both your body and your mind. They are a completely coherent loop. So I'm going to explain GodSpark here for a minute for the newcomers. So when Cynthia worked at Lawrence Livermore and Stanford labs in the particle accelerators, a particle is basically a very small piece of an atom. So if you look at an atom under a microscope, most of that atom is empty space. Now, the rest of the atom are particles. And a particle accelerator is essentially a place, a room, and it can go a short distance or a long distance. But these particles, they would go through this acceleration process and no humans could go in the room. Because if they did, they could influence the particle. If you told the particle to do loop-de-loops, it would do a loop-de-loop. If it said go counterclockwise and do 10 backflips, it would do that. So if a human has influence on a particle outside your body, what influence do you have on a particle inside your body? See, you are limitless. But we just don't know the power that we have, that God blessed us with. And it's crazy. So the way you can kind of feel this in your own body is I get goosebumps when I feel this emotion. So my body responds to my mind. And you ever get butterflies in your stomach when you're nervous or when you have to give a speech? Some people get this dry mouth, okay, or chills. This shows you how your body and your mind are connected. So you want to treat your body very well and treat your mind. And that's why I've always said, love yourself to health. Love yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So fill your love cup up first so you can better serve everywhere, anywhere, all at once, or something like that. So leading with your heart, take personal responsibility for every thought, every word, and every deed, every vision, intention, and action. They are the same. Okay, number 4, people make the best choices available to them at the time. And you don't know what you don't know. So in a quantum field of choices, each decision is made with the best knowledge and resources available. And not everyone has everything at access. They just don't have things available. Like maybe one individual, has a great library of resources and another is very limited. So we want to accept that and also prepare for the future. So because you don't know what you don't know, thinking now versus the future, you want to lead with your heart. So an example might be choosing to work late might seem the best now. That's what I do all the time, but it may harm your family later. So, or, oftentimes there's a great quote that says that when we are young, we spend our health creating our wealth. And then when we're old, we spend our wealth to regain our health. So how about if we just kind of find that balance? And that's a word I've used with Cynthia a lot. Her and I both need a little bit more balance because we are so in love with this project here at QHS that it's really what we want to do with most of our waking hours. So leading with your heart, except with an A, that you must expand your knowing. We want to keep learning. And so does your team. You want to encourage your team to have Connie. This is an Anthony Robbins thing, constant and never ending improvement, because if you're not growing, you're dying. Nothing in this quantum realm stays stagnant. All right. So one suggestion is read 10 pages a day and or listen to 30 minutes a day of a book on tape or a podcast or something, but constantly be in growth mode. Okay, next. Every behavior has a positive intent. That means that every action is driven by a positive intent, either to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. And so what we want to do as quantum leaders leading with love is to seek and understand people's intent behind their behavior. Like, for instance, my son actually used this example with me. Why do some people park their grocery cart back into the, the rack where you rack your grocery cart? And why do some people just leave it in the middle of the parking lot? Why are some people always on time and why are some people always late? So with the people closest to you, I find it's really best to understand their intent behind their behavior. And then when they tell it to you, they are learning it themselves because sometimes they don't even realize. And so when they learn it for themselves, that is when they're able to step into a different behavior. So when you lead with your heart, you're looking for the good in everyone. And okay, I'm going to kind of speed this up a little bit because I feel like I'm okay. So number 6, there is no failure. There's only feedback. So anytime we feel like a failure or we make a mistake, you must learn from that and keep going, just pivoting, right? So we pivot when we make a mistake, we go, oh, well, that didn't work. Just like Edison with the light bulb. Did he fail 999 times? Or did he get feedback that 999 ways that he designed the light bulb didn't work, but he never quit? And so our feedback that we each get is very important because we are like this guiding star and have a lot of followers. You are going to have all these people that you are leading and guiding and helping them grow as you find people to support your projects. And so you want to find that getting feedback from the choices that you make are helping you course correct. So when you're not hitting your personal goals, it's time to pivot and allow the feedback that you receive just show you that your strategy is not working, and that's okay. I love to cook, and I'm telling you, I have oftentimes found that my cooking strategy doesn't work, and my kids will attest to that. They think I'm a horrible cook, but I'm really not. They just like to give me a hard time. So leading with your heart, what must you pivot on? Go back into your mind and look back and think, well, what could I have not quit, but just get back on that playing field and pivot instead? Number 7, the meaning of communication is the response you get. So imagine your communication with another. It's just a dance of energies. All right. So you want to tune in to the vibrations of your listener and also be a better listener by listening to their response to you. Because if they're not responding the right way, that's on you. We must all learn to be a noticer and notice if our message is coming through with love and compassion and being heard the way we want it. And if it's not being absorbed correctly, then we need to rephrase our message. So leading from your heart, it's really about slowing down and being mindful in your communications so that your message is delivered clearly. I find oftentimes that that's not happening. Okay, just 3 more. And then I'm going to also briefly talk about why I chose the song I chose tonight. So being flexible ensures the highest chance of success. So we must be flexible and try new things because in a quantum reality, it's not A plus B equals C. It's all over the place, right? So it's exponential and you want to be open to exploring different dimensions of thought, learning and being flexible. I love the quote that says, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break." So if your plan A doesn't work, that's okay. Float on over to plans B and C and D until you carve your path. You know that a stream carves a path in rock, okay? Because it's just so gentle. So you want to be as strong as a mountain, but as fluid as a stream because that stream has major power. So leading with your heart and noticing in what areas of your life do you need to be more flexible? Oftentimes it's how we treat ourselves. Okay, 2 more. There are no unresourceful people, only unresourceful states. And that is like a state of being. So sometimes you're going to feel productive and sometimes you're not. But your body will tell you what you need in each moment if you become a noticer, slow down and listen. Because when you tap in to your limitless resources, you can transform your state into a state of power and a state of love. You just need to notice, okay? So some people feel anxious before a presentation, which you're going to be giving those. And some people are anxious, some people they get into it with excitement and confidence. All right. And you can change your state with visualization and deep breathing, just seeing yourself, just busting it out there and doing a great job on everything that you do. So what you want to do is listen to your intuition, because your intuition is always right. You have this inner ego that tells you, you're all that. And then you've got this inner critic that just beats you up, right? And then you have your inner child that wants what she wants when she wants it. None of them really have your back. They only have their own back. But your intuition is your GodSpark, and it always leads you in the right direction. Okay? So ask your intuition, what is the right thing for you every time you have a fork in the road? Now, last is rapport. Rapport enhances communication. So what we want to do to develop rapport is a couple different things. One, I find when you are creating a new conversation with someone, ask them a lot of questions about themselves when it's appropriate and when you feel that they're happy to answer. Okay, if they are like this and they don't want you in, then that's okay. Another thing you can do in that point is just mirror them. So if they're really quiet and subtle, then you want to be really quiet and subtle. If they're happy and excitable, then you can be happy and excitable. Because if you walk into a quiet room and you're just being all, whoa, look at me, you are not building rapport, right? So you want to be a noticer, read your environment. And when you lead with your heart, you want to practice this mirroring. Your next communication opportunity, just pay attention, be a noticer of who's in front of you. And if they lean in, you lean in. If they lean in, don't lean back, or they're going to think they smell that. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. So these are 10 principles. Next week, we're going to cover 10 more. And I will give you a worksheet. I'll post it with a replay so that you guys can use this and play with this on your own. And it's all very simple, but it's all about you working on being the best version of you that you can be. Be heart-led, care for others, be discerning, be a noticer of yourself, and operate with integrity, flexibility, with strong values, and be honest and be your authentic self. In summary, don't be a jerk. There, now I'm your life coach. So these traits will serve you as well as any human being. Every human being will benefit from these traits. You should not have to work hard to lead others. You must lead the way and live with virtue, and others will naturally follow. Kira posted something I want to share with you that I thought was so beautiful. It said, don't go chasing butterflies or they will fly away. Instead, create a beautiful garden and they will come to you. So the burning question is, which of these guiding principles resonates with you the most? And how will you take this principle to lead your quantum team with your heart?